All right, Prop the Mic here, presented by Props.Cash. We're here for a unusual Wednesday midweek NFL podcast, getting ready to celebrate Turkey Day with 3 NFL games, and then the brand new, unfortunately, Jets debuting the Black Friday NFL game. Wish it was under better circumstances, but how you doing, Dave? You ready for Thanksgiving here?
Yeah, always ready for Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving. It's like, for me, it's one of my favorite holidays because it's got all the good parts of a holiday, which are like, meeting with family, hanging out, having some drinks, watching sports, eating good food. And then it's got none of the like annoying part, which is having to buy gifts for everybody, right? So Thanksgiving is the best for that reason. I love Thanksgiving.
Yes. Yeah, Thanksgiving is great.
Yeah, and if you're a football fan, it's just fantastic. Just the football offering is just expanded over the years for Thanksgiving. So we're going to cover all 4 games, the 3 from Thursday and the one on Friday. First, I'm going to ask you a question, a Thanksgiving related question. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So what's your favorite Thanksgiving side?
My favorite Thanksgiving side is probably, I would say, I don't know if some people call it stuffing, some people call it dressing. I feel like you can go a lot of different directions with it. It's something that doesn't come across the table very often throughout the rest of the year. Turkey and poultry can show back up and mashed potatoes show back up. But like stuffing, I feel like is like the Thanksgiving is its home. So I get to appreciate it. And people do all sorts of crazy stuff. You're putting sausage in it, cornbread stuffing. People put oysters in it. You go all sorts of crazy directions. So that's probably my favorite. And it has the biggest ability to go a whole bunch of different ways, depending on how you're feeling that particular Thanksgiving. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, I mean, I just asked you a simple question. You just went down. We could start a cooking show on that one.
We could.
That's good, man. I love the stuffing. I love the mashed potatoes are always good. But what I would say the most popular thing that they pass around the table is the crescent rolls. Everybody always takes the crescent rolls, which is like the least amount of work. They're really not that good, but everybody loves those.
Nothing better than some fresh baked bread,
I don't know how fresh that is, popping out of a can. All right, so let's dive into our buffet here. We'll start with the classic game, Green Bay at Detroit. Detroit is -7.5 on the game. Total is 46.5. Talk us through the matchups, Tom.
All right, not a lot of matchups jumping out in the model here for any of these games except this one. So this is the game that I have the most picks for. The model's telling us to play overs in both Green Bay and Detroit passing games here. So that's where I'm looking. You have a couple other of the games we'll get to later, particularly the San Francisco Seattle game and Miami Jets, where it's like not a lot's like jumping out off the page. So it was a little bit harder to find some stuff in those games. Let's start with Detroit here. So I have 2 receivers that I'm looking at here because we want to target the passing games. Jared Goff's been regressing a bit, so I don't know. I kind of laid off some Goff stuff, but let's go with the easy one. Let's go with St. Brown here. Over 81.5 receiving yards, -114 on FanDuel. Last Thanksgiving, he played against Buffalo. He had 122 receiving yards in that game, so he got up. He got up for that Thanksgiving game last year. You can, if you want to pull that out, you can click on other, and you'll see that one.
Yep, that's that one.
Yeah, that's that one right there. Overall this season, he's cleared this in 6 of his last 8 games. So nice trend in a nice matchup for him. The one thing that scares me off a little bit, if you see the 2 misses over the last 8 games, one of them was against Green Bay. So not, a little bit pause for concern there. But I think on the big stage here, I think St. Brown shows up, and I could see him going for 100 yards in this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're continuously on the quarterbacks against Green Bay or receivers against Green Bay in this sense. Passing game, Green Bay isn't giving up a ton of yards. So offensive line, I think, points towards this play. Total yards at 193.2 does not. Let's just look recently. If we go on props like cash, we just look at recent receivers. I think Keenan Allen is a pretty good comparison. Yeah. 116 passing yards, but or receiving yards. But before that, it really wasn't the whole month.
It wasn't great.
Yeah, not great. So I'd be a little cautious about this. If there is a guy who's going to have a big game, it's going to be St. Brown. So I think that's a decent play. But but
I
yeah,
liked
either one
what
are
Allen
actually
did
tough.
last week. That was after seeing that, because I remember you bringing up a few times about avoiding Green Bay's secondary here. But I like the way Allen performed last week. That was almost it was like 180 yards or something like that.
No, what do you have?
Whatever it was.
Yeah, 116. Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
So big game though. Still big game.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I like that. Anybody else in the on the Detroit side?
Yes. So this guy, I think maybe he been waiting for him to break out a little bit here. Jameson Williams. I like his longest reception, over 14 and a half long reception. He's cleared this in 3 of the last 5 weeks. What I like is his targets have ticked up a bit over the last 5 weeks, 3, 6, 3, 2, and 3. So pretty good consistency. What I liked was his snap count percentage over the last 2 weeks was the highest that he's seen all season. 2 weeks ago, it was at 52% of the snaps he was on the field for. It went up to 65% last week. So the guy's he's back, maybe becoming a little bit bigger part of the offense here. So maybe let's try to catch him on the way up. What do you say?
Yeah. His receptions look pretty good too. A little juicy at 2 receptions, but he seems very consistent. Every week he's almost getting 2 receptions. The only week he didn't was against Dallas. I'm sorry, Baltimore, which is a pretty good pass D. So, either receptions or longest reception. I think those are both good plays.
Nice.
That's
everything I had on the Detroit side.
Yeah, I'll jump in while we're on kind of the receiving game. I just thought the value on David Montgomery was really good. 5.5 receiving yards. If you just look at what he's done over the last 6 games that he's played, 7, 20, 20, 19, nothing against the Chargers, and then 22. So he's not really known as the receiving back, but he is getting there. Not getting a ton of targets. Most of these games he's getting 1 or 2 targets, but he seems to be converting those into receptions. And then a lot of these he's just turning for like big yardage. So I wanted to do some sort of receiving play. I stuck with the running back. Jahmyr Gibbs is probably a good play as well, but I just was tempted by the 5.5 receiving line for Montgomery.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm a little hesitant just in general, looking at the injury report. This, like, the Packers have 18 players on a short week on the injury report. A large majority of have not practiced at all this week. I don't know. So this game is scaring me a bit, especially for playing overs. I'm a little bit worried here. And Detroit's a little bit better. I think they got 4 or 5 guys on the injury report, but Green Bay is scaring me a bit. But I like that value on Montgomery.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the Green Bay side. Any offensive players that you got here?
Yeah, well, we said we should target the passing game for both teams. So let's go to a guy we seem to talk about every single week here, Jordan Love. I think I like his completions the best, 19.5, minus 115 on DK. Has it gone up to 20 everywhere?
Yeah, we're up to 20 and a half. Yep. Which are still pretty good hit rates. You just missed that one LA game.
Yeah, just that one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he had 23 in the first game against Detroit. So I think that's good. We've been targeting, teams passing games against Detroit all season. It's a good spot. I don't know if you want to weigh in on any sort of second half stuff on Jordan Love here. That seems to be the play on him. I like his completions here. Even at 21, I think it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, first half, the trend was holding strong. We finally broke the trend last week where he went off against the Chargers, but the Chargers are like a different level of bad in terms of terrible defense. So he will probably regress and fall back more into this pattern where he's averaging 8.4 reception completions in the first half, and he's averaging 11.9 in the second half. So if you're worried about this or you want to get this back at 19.5, I'm sure waiting and playing this live at some point in the first half, end of the first quarter, end of the first half will probably be a good way. But 7, like I said, to start this 7.5 point spread here. So that's a pretty big spread in this game. I think the Packers will fall down. They're away as well, so they lose that home field advantage. So I could see Love having to throw early in this game, not waiting necessarily to the fourth quarter. So I like this play.
Nice. All right, I have one other on Love here. I think he's good for a pick in this game. It's minus 166 on DK. He's 6 of his last 8 games. He's had a pick. He had 2 picks. He's had 2 picks twice this season. One of them was against Detroit. If you look since that game when he had 2 picks against Detroit, you've had Bryce Young, Baker, Jimmy G, Herbert all throw picks against Detroit. I was trying. I don't love the minus 166. Obviously, I was trying to find somewhere where I could put one touchdown and one interception together for Love. I haven't found it yet. I can only get the 1.5 TDs on Love, but if I can find the 1-1, I would love that here.
You would love that. Yeah. I mean, I just kind of feel like Thanksgiving games are like almost guaranteed to have interceptions.
Yes.
Right. You know what I mean? Like right when you're about to go sit at the dinner table, like, you know, they're driving down and then a red zone interception, pick six, run back. So yeah, this seems to make sense. Sorry, let me put the full view. Yeah, he's thrown quite a few interceptions this week. He's been better in the last 3 weeks, but yeah, against Detroit he had 2. So I think it's a really good play.
Yeah. All right. You got anything?
Yeah, I was looking. Wicks was a cash cow for us last week, so I was looking for him. I'm assuming he's on the injury report. Yeah.
Yeah. He is in concussion protocol. I think a knee injury as well. He hasn't practiced all week.
Yeah. So the props out on the main books are pretty limited, but I did see PointsBet has Jaden Reed up for 25.5 points. So I actually like that 25.5 receiving yards. So I like that even more with Wicks out. I think he gets even more touches. And quite honestly, Wicks is the deep ball threat. Reed is more of the volume guy. We pointed this out last pod that we did for NFL. Wicks in the last 4 weeks, 6 targets, 3 targets, 5 targets, 6 targets. So plenty of volume here. Good matchup. I think if this come out on FanDuel or DraftKings at 25.5, I would jump all over that. If you have access to PointsBet, lock this one up.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. I was looking at Watson too. I don't know, a lot of another one of these
just
teams
seems off with Watson though.
Yeah, I know.
Doesn't seem to be the same player, but he's been injured quite a bit. He's getting the targets though. Look at that, like 8 targets, 7 targets, 4 targets. So the volume's there, but he's just not converting. So
doesn't have the connection with Love. I don't know.
I don't know what it is, but I'm definitely laying off of him until he gets it going.
All right, I got one more real quick, and then we'll get off this game. I like A.J. Dillon here. So you got Aaron Jones out. You got the rookie Emmanuel Wilson out. So basically the whole backfield is A.J. Dillon's here. So all the usage is going to him. I like his over 11.5 receiving yards, minus 114 on FanDuel. When he gets 3+ targets, he's cleared this in 14 of his last 20 games. He's averaged 3 targets per game over his last 5 weeks. So it's not a matchup that screams out to me in the model here, like, target running back receptions against Detroit. I just think, given the lack of backups here and this low line, I think he can get 12+ receiving yards in this game.
Yeah, I looked at that one. I was trying to see if there was any kind of standout statistics when Jones was out of the lineup.
Not really.
Not really, right? You looked as well.
Yeah.
If you look without Jones,
I think only
he
once
really hasn't done a whole lot there.
Yeah.
Rushing seemed to be better without Jones, so the volume of rush attempts is up pretty high. So if I was going to do something on him, I might do his rush attempts at 13.5. The Detroit line is pretty strong in terms of preventing yards, but less so on the attempts. So I think that might be an angle I go.
It's a nice angle, yeah.
Dillon, but I think regardless, I think one catch should get him that 12.5. So I think that's a good play as well.
Nice. All right. I think have we exhausted this
we got
game?
The Commanders at the Cowboys. Cowboys are minus 12.5 at home. Total is 48.5. What do you like in this game?
So one matchup based on line play that was sticking out here was overs in the Dallas run game. However, like we spoke about, I think last week, Tony Pollard kind of off here. So I actually went with one rush play here, but it's on Dak. Over 14.5 rush yards, minus 115 on DK. He's cleared this in 3 of his last 5 games. He had 14 in the 1 miss, so almost 4 of his last 5. And if you look at his last 3 games against Washington, he gets the job done when he plays the Commanders there, clearing in 3 straight games against Washington. So like the division matchup here, I think it's a good spot for Dak to run the ball. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know where to play against the Commanders because they're kind of bad everywhere, right? As exhibited by the fact that they lost to the Giants last week. So rushing is good. I think Dak, did you see what he did on Thanksgiving last year? Did we have that?
I'm sure I looked. It probably wasn't great because I didn't write it down. So
I'm assuming it was this game against the Giants last year.
Yeah, 11-24.
So
yeah.
Not a whole lot there, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a good spot. I think the Commanders are just bleeding in every aspect. I focus more on the passing game, but I could see Dak ripping off a big run to start the game. So I like that.
Nice. All right. What'd you have?
So let's stick with Dak before we move over to the Commander side. I like Dak over 24.5 completions, pass completions. So that's minus 114 on FanDuel. He's done this in. Hold on, I have the other filter on, and let's look at just this year. Right, so he's done this in 4 straight games. Done this in 7 out of the last 9. I just think he's in a perfect spot against Washington to throw the ball. I think he's going to be throwing early and often. The biggest risk in this game is, does he play the full game, or does he come out for the fourth quarter? But if you just look at some other quarterbacks versus Washington, Tommy DeVito had 18 on a line of 15.5. Geno Smith had 31. Mac Jones 24. Jalen Hurts 29. Tyrod Taylor didn't clear, but then Desmond Ridder the week before had 28. So almost all quarterbacks are clearing against Washington. Their secondary is pretty atrocious. I think this is a good spot for Dak to get 25 completions.
All right, I like it. I looked at it. I was a little bit hesitant. I was afraid Dallas was just going to come in and manhandle Washington in this game and just look to keep that clock running. And maybe it is, even though Tony Pollard, like we said, the matchup is for the matchup. The target is run games for Dallas. Maybe this is a buy low spot on Tony here, and they keep the clock running and just run the ball against a definitely inferior Washington team. But they gotta get there by scoring and making some passes. So I guess if they do blow them out, I could see them getting those 25 completions.
Yeah, I mean, if you're worried about a blowout, I would suggest then leaning more towards the passing yards at 275.5, because in order to score, they're going to have to get the ball down the field, right? I don't think they're going to totally do that just on the ground. I think they're going to do a lot of that in the air. So if you're worried about him, not playing the full game, then I would lean more towards the 275.5. His hit rate is not nearly as good. So the other way to do it is bring that down to like 250 and parlay it with something else, because his hit rates, once you get down to 250, are pretty good. I see him definitely getting 250 in this game. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
On the Washington side, let's stay with the quarterback.
Before you click over there, can you click on Dak first half for a sec?
Yeah.
It's got some nice passing numbers. I'm just looking here, and even at home. Look at home in the first half this season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a way. I know on like Prize Picks you can bet first half.
Yeah,
props.
that's true. Yeah,
I don't think most of the books have that. A second half prop is usually better, because then you can get that live.
Yeah, good point.
But yeah, Prize Picks. Right. Yeah, you might be able to capture that.
Good point. Okay, let's move on.
All right, let's talk about Sam Howell here for a second. So Sam Howell has actually had a pretty good season so far. If you look, he's averaging 276.2 passing yards. Even last week, which was not one of his better weeks, he had 255 passing yards versus the Giants. I just think this is a bad spot for Sam Howell. We've been talking about this all season. Opposing quarterbacks against Dallas and also Cleveland. Those are the two spots you definitely want to target unders. His line is not 268.5. It's more like 253.5, which he has cleared in each of the last 4 weeks. But I think this is not the spot for it to play his over. So I'm going under on Sam Howell, 253.5 passing yards. If you look, this is very interesting. Look at the quarterbacks against Dallas. There's been only one quarterback who has cleared his line this year. That's Brock Purdy, and his passing yards was 252. So in order for Sam Howell to pass this, he's going to have to basically be the highest quarterback against Dallas this year. That doesn't feel right. So
probably
I'm going
not
under.
happening. Yeah,
I'm going under here.
Yeah, I think like they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We crushed on Bryce Young last week, fading him against his Dallas defense, right? So it seems like a good pick there.
And then in tandem, I think it's a good spot to find a receiver from Washington and fade him as well. So I was debating between McLaurin and Dotson. McLaurin's more of a regular target of Howell. Dotson seems to be kind of up and down. He's only cleared his line of 30. It's 34.5 or 32.5. Only in 4 games this year so far, and he's had a couple games where he completely blanked. So again, I think this is a bad spot for Dotson. He really only clears this line if he gets more than 4 targets. And if you look again at receivers against, just look at receptions. So Dillon had a pretty good game despite them struggling on the passing game. He had 8 receptions last week, but that would be Dillon would be like the McLaurin of the team, right? Secondary receivers, like AJ Brown had 7, and that's it. Like there's nobody doing anything against Dallas. So I think Dotson, it's a little scary because he could haul in a 40-yard catch given his speed, but I just don't see that happening in this game. So I'm going under on Dotson as well, 32.5 receiving.
Yeah, I think I'm looking right now. I think Samuel as well is probably in a good spot. Both the two guys with negative trends on their targets for the Commanders are Dotson and Samuel, the only two. Everyone else has like a positive upward trend on targets. So, and if you look at those last 4 weeks after a nice start to the season, to those first 6 games, he's really just kind of cratered over these last 4. So I think both of those are probably good plays here. Yeah. You there? All right.
Yeah, I mean the one receiver that I wouldn't fade. I think Logan Thomas is probably again, he's not going to have a huge game here, but he's probably the most consistent receiver on the team and a high target for Sam Howell. So I would lay off Logan Thomas if you're in a very fade mood for Washington. So all right. Anything else in this game?
Nope.
All right, let's go to the next one. This is the night. I think it's a night game. We got San Francisco at Seattle. San Fran on the road, -7. Total is 43.5. Seems like a big spread, even though San Fran is definitely the better of the two teams. San Fran -7 on the road. That seems like a really big spread. So, so watch out for that. Total is lower, 43.5. What do you like in this one?
Not a lot of matchups sticking out here to targets. I was just kind of really looking more at trends here in this game. See if we could find something we liked. I'm looking at both the two main receivers for Seattle here. Always difficult. These guys always trip me up deciding who to choose. Let's start with Metcalf. His line's 58.5 receiving yards, -130 on DK. He's cleared this in 4 of his last 5, 6 of his last 8, 3 straight at home. However, his last 2 at home against San Francisco, he's gone under. Now, if you look at his counterpart, Tyler Lockett, his line's a little bit lower at 49.5 receiving yards, -114 on FanDuel. He's gone over with 68 yards in both of his last 2 games at home against San Francisco. So you have DK maybe a little bit, the recent trend a little bit better, but then the historical trend against, the opposition this week seems to favor Lockett here. I do like Lockett's targets the last 4 weeks, 9, 8, 10, and 7. Like pretty good volume, getting the ball to Lockett here. He's cleared in 3 of his last 4 against San Francisco overall, 6 of 9 overall. So not too different. I said Metcalf was 6 of his last 8, Lockett 6 of his last 9. So I think, I don't know, do you have a feel one way or the other on either of these guys?
No. I mean, this is the area to attack San Fran if you're going to play anything on the Seattle side. Going for their rush props is not the way. San Fran gives up almost no rushing yards in a game. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Metcalf is a better volume receiver. I think Lockett's a better deep ball receiver. So if you're talking about yards, I would probably go with Lockett at 49.5.
All right. What'd you have from this game?
So on the running side, I just kind of alluded to this. Zach, am I saying it right? Charbonnet.
Charbonnet.
He, so if you look at his rushing yards this year, he hasn't cleared his line in a single game. It's as high as 55.5 on FanDuel. So I do like the under there. I am wary that his attempts went up significantly last week. I'm assuming Kenneth Walker is out of this game.
He's out. Right, yeah. So I mean, that's why he's been under. His line's elevated because he's becoming the primary back here.
Yeah, but I think he had 15 carries last week, and he only had 47 rushing yards. So I think with the game script of Seattle likely being behind and having to throw the ball, and the fact that San Fran's defense, rush defense, is phenomenal. I just don't see him breaking through this week. So I'm going under 55.5 rush yards for Charbonnet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good pick. Yeah.
That's all I had on the Seattle side. On the 49ers side, I like a couple plays. Let's start with our guy Purdy. Been pretty phenomenal from a passing standpoint. Seattle's defense has got some holes on the passing side. They're giving up 233 passing yards per game. His line is 250.5 on FanDuel. That's as low as you can get it. Kind of like the yards. I like the pass attempts even better, which we're not. Oh, sorry, that's not out yet. So right now it's showing 23.5. That's just a projection. If it comes out anywhere near there, I would grab it. I'd probably even go up as high as 24, 25.5. So that was the angle I'm going to go for once those lines are released, but they're not out yet.
All right. Nice. Yeah. Pretty consistent here.
Yeah, super consistent. And then there's 2 on the receiving side that I liked. You can really go anyway. I mean, the best receiver that they have this year is Aiyuk, but he's up and down, up and down. I think if you want to put Aiyuk at 50 receiving yards as part of a multi-leg same game parlay, I think that's a great foundation for that parlay because he pretty much gets there almost every game, and he's in a good matchup this week. I think other guys to look at here. I do think Kittle is in a great spot. I really love what he's done over the last 4 weeks, and if you take out that game against Cleveland, which we just said is a phenomenal defense, he's done this in 5 out of the last 6 weeks. So you can get him as low as 49.5 on FanDuel, which I think is great value. And he can do that in probably as little as like 4 catches. So what do you think about Kittle today or tomorrow?
Nothing like working from home on Thanksgiving week. Got kids looking to knock down the door behind me here. Sorry about that.
No, you good? You like Kittle here at 49.5 receiving yards?
Yeah, I didn't look at it too much though, but I love those. I love that last 4 weeks there. It's looking good. I think he was nice upward trend, 32% positive upward slope on his target share. So it's that's looking nice. Whereas Aiyuk is trending downwards, just at least in terms of target trends. So Kittle's got that positive one there. So yeah, I would probably lean Kittle a bit more.
Yeah, look at 3 of the last 4 tight ends against Seattle. You got Njoku had 77 yards, Andrews 80, Logan Thomas 40 on a line of 34.5. So I think that's also really promising. If you just filter Kittle's targets, if we get 5 targets even over this period of time, he's got a 80% hit rate this year and a 64% hit rate over the last 2.5 years. So I think it's a great play. I think Kittle's going to go over here. A little riskier. I also think Debo is in a good spot, like kind of a bounce back upward spot. He was out for quite some time. This will be his 3rd game back since returning from injury. Only put up 30 receiving yards against Jacksonville in his 1st game back, but had 63 against Tampa Bay, and his line's only 48.5 here. So I think Debo's targets, if you look at the beginning of the season, were more like 7, 8,
much higher,
7, 9, 12. He had a couple games against Dallas and Cleveland, so let's throw those out. I don't know what happened in this Arizona game. Maybe he was hurt or something in there. But I feel like he's in a position where his target share is going to rise. His snap count definitely was significantly up from 33 in the 1st game back all the way up to 51. So I think the targets will just follow that in this game. So he cleared it with only a couple targets last game. I think if he gets 6, 7 targets again, I think this is a home run.
Yeah, he's a guy that's upper 80% snap count percentage at the start of the season, and he got back there last week for the first time. He was back at 85%. So I think you're right. That's very promising for what he can do to kind of get back on track here. Now that he's had a couple weeks to kind of regroup. Yeah,
excellent. And don't ever dismiss the rush plus receiving for Debo. That's always a nice little flex option. You can get that as low as 16.5 on PointsBet or 61.5 on Caesars. He's always good for a couple carries as well. But I'll go with the receiving yards at a nice low 48.5. All right, let's wrap this up with we covered the mashed potatoes, we covered the stuffing, and we covered the turkey, but now we got to move to the pumpkin pie. Miami versus the Jets on Friday.
This might be the string bean casserole or something. I don't know.
String bean casserole. What's the item that nobody eats? Right?
Yeah, I think that's the one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are the pumpkin pie and the Jets are string bean casserole. So, all right, what do you like in this game? Miami's minus 8.5. That seems ridiculous, but they are on the road. Total is 35.5. I will say the Jets' rush defense is not looking great this year, but obviously the secondary is phenomenal. So that's probably the only saving grace for them. Jets have I don't even know the name of their quarterback. Tim Boyle coming in, so we'll see how that works out. But you got any Tim Boyle props for us today?
I don't. I'm cautiously optimistic about Tim Boyle. I mean, we've said enough here about how terrible Zach Wilson is. Nobody could be worse than him. So I think there might be some competency, behind center for the Jets here. Somewhat. I mean, this is all we're speaking in relative terms here. So I think there could be some positives to come from this, but I don't know if Miami's the spot to do that in. But what I do think will happen is I think Tim Boyle is going to lean on Breece Hall here in this game a bit. I like Breece over 24.5 receiving yards. He's cleared this in 4 of his last 5 weeks, averaging 47.5 receiving yards over the last 5 weeks. If you look, McKinnon on a line of 16.5 had 22. James Cook, again, 16.5 line, had 48. Javonte Williams is going back, to the end of September, but on a line of 15.5 at 23. I love Breece. I love Breece's targets over the last 5 weeks: 5, 9, 4, 3, and 6. So getting a good number of targets in the passing game here. He's cleared this in 6 of his last 10 games when he sees 3 or more targets in a game. I think he will. I think they're going to. He's one of the most talented guys on this offense here. Going to be a little bit of a safety valve for Tim Boyle. So I think he can break 1 or 2 here and clear this receiving yards line pretty easily.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. You can get that as low as 24.5. I don't know if that's what you said, but
yeah, 24.5. Yeah,
I like that better than his rushing yards. I think Miami's rush defense is decent, only allowing 99.2 rush yards per game. But I think the receiving game is a good place to attack. And like we've talked about, you got relatively inexperienced quarterback coming in, will be dumping the ball down to the running back, probably hitting the tight end. So I think those are probably good spots to target for this game.
Yeah, nice. What do you got? That's all I had for this game.
Yeah, no, I didn't have anything on the Jet side, just too much uncertainty. But I did think like I said earlier, the pass D is phenomenal for the Jets, 178.7 pass yards per game. So I think I don't know if I would go focus too much on the passing game for the Dolphins side. I would focus more on the running game. We've played this guy a ton this year and last year. Mostert over what do we got? 59.5 rush yards. I think it was even 58.5 just a few minutes ago. Minus 120 on DK. I think that's a great spot. Last 2 weeks, 85, 86. I know he's got some competition for the ball right now, but that doesn't seem to be slowing him down. So I think rush yards is good. I think rush attempts is probably good. If you can get that at 13.5 on DraftKings, I think that's another good spot. But I like him to just bust a couple big runs. And I think they're gonna be running the ball a lot this game to avoid having to throw the ball downfield. So that was my main play on this one.
Nice. I like that. I neglected to mention, I think it's important to mention here, the last time Breece Hall played the Dolphins, he had 100 receiving yards and 97 rush yards in that game. That was last October. So that was like one of the biggest games of his career. Maybe besides that, what was it? The big one this season was in Denver, right? When we cashed all those tickets on Breece. So, that was one of the biggest games of his career, was against a pretty similar Dolphins team. So that was another angle here on Breece that I neglected to bring up, which is why I was high on him. I don't know. I think Achan's. Oh, I didn't have to do that again.
No, you didn't have to add the extra facts, but maybe you had a few other followers.
It was so impressive. It was so impressive, though. I didn't want to, let it go to waste.
Yeah, certainly not. What were we saying about Achan?
I think Achan's. I don't think Achan's playing this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he didn't.
I'm not sure.
He didn't get a ton of touches last game, so I think.
Well, he was out. Yeah, he left the last game with injury, so I didn't see the injury report I was looking at. Actually, didn't have it only had for the Thanksgiving games. It didn't have. I didn't see stuff for the Jets Dolphins game. But anyway, I think he'll be the primary back here. So yeah, I like. I agree with you. I like Mostert quite a bit in this game.
Yeah. He's questionable right now, so I think even if he plays, he's probably not going to get a lot of volume. So they're at this point they're going to need to save him up for the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Does that do it? That does it?
I think so. I think we got through it. Right. 4 games, and hopefully everybody enjoys watching these games and gets to have some good fun time with their families and enjoy some sports and have some drinks and have a good time, right?
Always fun. The turkey and the dinner always goes down easy when you have a few winning tickets in your pocket already. So let's hope that's the case. Let's hope that's the case tomorrow. But we'll get a couple of these up on X. Everyone enjoy the games and let's all make some money.
Let's do it.